This video will contain spoilers to the story and gameplay for Resident Evil Requiem. If you have not played or finished the game yet, I highly recommend you do so first. Now, let's get into the review. Resident Evil Requiem is an absolute masterpiece. Scratch that. Resident Evil Requiem is the greatest game in the entire franchise. Now, I know that could be a fork found in kitchen take for others, or it could just be seen as recency bias, but look, during the first few hours of gameplay, I already had the feeling this was going to be one for the books. And upon completing the game, I feel it is completely fair to say that this is Capcom's best work yet for this series. Kicking off this review, I'm going to start with my main con for this game. That con being this very weird audio glitch that I consistently got throughout the game. There would be some cutscenes or moments in gameplay where the audio would completely cut out for a second, and then it would be completely desynced. This was especially frustrating because it would always happen during what are supposed to be the most impactful cutscenes. So yeah, that is basically my biggest con for this game. Anyway, now onto the pros. Let's start with the gameplay. So Resident Evil Requiem has two complete formulas all done to perfection in this game. The first being the survival horror aspect of Resident Evil 2 and especially Resident Evil 7 when playing as Grace Ashcroft. While playing as Grace, the vibes are very eerie, intense, and the fear factor is at an all-time high. This is very evident from the first moment you walk into Wrenwood Hotel as Grace, and once you get to the Rhodes Hills Care Center, you are met with everything that makes Resident Evil so great. The puzzles, the unsettling atmosphere, fear of the unknown of what could be lurking, stalking you just around the corner, and we meet that fear who is known as the girl. After Grace gets saved from the girl, thanks to everyone's favorite Leon Kennedy, you are then given his signature weapon, Requiem, loaded with exactly one bullet. And now free to roam the entire Rhodes Hill Care Center. As Grace, you are rewarded for playing very slowly and carefully. This place is filled with zombies, and they aren't your normal zombies you are used to. They hold on to fragments of their personalities before they were infected. One moment you are playing the slow game, sneaking past some giant Chef Andre Rush type zombie, then you witness other zombies who tend to their duties around the care center. The cleaning maid, the guy in charge of lights, some patients who are very sensitive to sound carrying bags of blood, the opera singing zombies, which I think are my favorite zombies ever, and some infected care center workers that still are holding onto tools that can cause great harm to you or just outright kill you immediately in one wrong move. When making your way to the bar and lounge area, you find Grace's pistol she had with her in the opening of the game. There is another pistol you can find during this dining room sequence, but that pistol honestly felt like complete garbage from the time I had with it, even in insanity mode. Ammo can be very scarce, especially when playing as Grace, and you should always use your shots wisely. So sticking to one handgun, taking up all handgun bullets you find or craft is your best bet. As Grace, you can also find antique coins scattered throughout the area. These coins are all used in a room where Grace can get some essential upgrades: inventory space via hip pouch, steroids for more health, and stabilizers for better precision and gun handling, all tools that Ethan Winters would find in Resident Evil 7. Grace also gets equipped with a blood collector and another great tool in her strategy, an injector that transmits a serum into the zombie's blood that causes them to pop. This to me felt like a callback to the serum Blade would carry around to fight vampires in the original Blade film. I mean, look, he's injecting them and they start puffing up and blowing up in blood all over the place. You find this injector when first making your way through the East Wing, and you stumble upon a surgery room with it lying on the counter, waited to be used on an infected doctor. But on Insanity mode, you have to find the room with a computer that holds the blood specimen reversible puzzle that gives you the blueprint to crafting these injectors. Speaking of puzzles, there's a lot of them when playing as Grace, and I feel they are all done very well. But one thing that caught me off guard, but was also expected, once you switch to Insanity difficulty, everything has now been moved, making you have to learn where everything is all over again. Another important aspect of Grace is crafting. As Grace, you are of course collecting blood, either from the zombies you kill, or blood that can be found in buckets or just on the ground throughout levels. You are also finding scraps and metals and many other things. You can craft handgun bullets, Requiem bullets when finding a special material of metal, the serum injector for more stealth encounters, or insurance for making sure the zombies you kill stay dead. This is especially important since the game has brought back the equivalent of Crimson Heads from Resident Evil 1, known as Blister Heads. You can craft steroids and stabilizers upon leveling up at the blood specimen computer, which I believe is an absolute necessity for Grace. In my first playthrough, I found what you needed to take to the computer to unlock the skill of crafting these, but shortly died after, forcing me to load my save right before I used the keycard for the West Wing, and I made the mistake of completely forgetting about the upgrade, which in return made me not be able to give Grace any more upgrades for her health or weapon handling handling, which had me suffer by getting one-shot by the regular zombies, especially in that cursed basement area. I basically was playing the rest of the game with Grace at level 1. Overall, Grace's gameplay is everything we know and love about the survival horror of Resident Evil. Using your bullets as a shoot to stun strategy rather than shoot to kill unless you are forced to use Requiem. Staying low, aiming around corners to observe your enemies to know when your time to strike, or time to sneak past them has arrived. Now I know that may not be classic like Resident Evil 1 inside the mansion, but the Rhodes Hill Care Center is definitely the most mansion-like area, or just most fun areas to explore, and that's like the biggest comparison that I will give to the mansion. As far as gameplay goes, you can implement the playstyle of being a whole lot more stealthy to more threatening enemies like Chef Rush, the Blisterheads, or even the big chunky monster that roams the East Wing. I call him Chud. And if you are sitting pretty on resources, you can even kill them, just getting them out of your way. Use glass bottles for distractions, or use them to craft Molotovs or bottles full of acid, which works exceptionally well against liquors. That's right, liquors have also returned in Requiem. Grace overall is the survival horror formula perfected, and more times than not, I felt like I was always locked in a room with zombies, which made for the most fun and tense moments in the game. But then there is a whole different side of the video game to be played. That side is when you are playing as Leon. Now I said as Grace, I feel that I was locked in a room with zombies. Well, with Leon, the zombies are locked in a room with him. As Leon, Capcom has really sent the action horror gameplay off the charts. The shooting, kicking, parrying, and hack and slashing with a melee weapon all have returned better than ever. When you first play as Leon, you are equipped with 2 of his signature weapons, the first being his Alligator Snapper semi-automatic handgun custom built by Joe Kendo. And you can see engraved on the pistol it says it is from Kendo Tactical Arms. This gun also has SG-19R shown on the other side of the weapon, letting us know this is Kendo's custom upgrade from Leon's SG-09R in Resident Evil 4 Remake, or better known as Leon's Silver Ghost. One thing I really love about this pistol and how Leon uses it is that in gameplay it is very John Wick coded. The way Leon changes grips when shooting this gun, as well as his tactical reload animations when you have emptied your mag. I mean, hell, if you even look at the gun. In the world of Resident Evil, it is known as a pistol from Kendo Tactical Arms, known as the Alligator Snapper, but in the real world, it is definitely inspired by the Taran Tactical Pit Viper pistol that was used by John Wick in John Wick Chapter 4. Figured I'd go a little in depth for any firearm nerds out there. Up next we have Leon's main signature weapon, the name of the game, Requiem, a powerful 5-shot magnum that is perfect for lining up collateral shots or outright popping zombie heads. Very effective against bosses as well, of course. Leon is at his prime in this game, which is insane to say given he is in his 50s by now, but I swear he is moving way more dangerously than he ever did in Resident Evil 4. He has contextual takedowns once a zombie is staggered near a wall. Zombies can be carrying weapons all around, and Leon can just pick up these weapons and either fight them with a powerful sword-like stroke, or just outright swing them at zombies at like Mach speeds, allowing for a follow-up execution with Leon's new hatchet. Speaking of the hatchet, this thing rocks. It can be used for combo slashing, one very stylish and powerful swing, and of course, parrying. Once it has ran out of durability, Leon simply brings out a stone to sharpen it back up to good shape and gets right back to hacking and slashing. Along his journey, you can either find other weapons placed in certain levels, mainly on the standard difficulty, or you can purchase them once introduced to this game's merchant system, which is found in a supply box. When played on insanity difficulty, the supply box is immediately introduced, allowing you to purchase all weapons that you would normally find on standard difficulty. This supply box gives you a combat data recorder, which is used to give points for all of the enemies you kill throughout the game. This encourages you to play aggressively and make sure you route up as many kills as possible as Leon. This aspect of the game mainly begins in Raccoon City at a BSAA camp, but like I said, once you play on Insanity mode, it is instantly available to you from the start. I imagine this will make for great no damage runs or kill all enemies or like 1,000+ enemies routed runs in the future. With a lot of points collected, you can use them to purchase new weapons or add upgrades to the guns you already have. You can purchase red dot sights for more precise aiming, which also switches you to a first-person perspective when aiming with them, but this is a setting that is in the aim settings, and you can just change that to not go into a full ADS. You can upgrade the damage, reload speed, and ammo capacity for the weapons, as well as add charms to the weapons for special multipliers. With all these things listed, it is safe to say that Leon is an absolute force to be reckoned with in this game. Anytime you struggle with a certain enemy as Grace, Leon has hundreds of answers for how he can completely massacre these enemies. Blister heads, just parry them. They'll fall right down to their knees, allowing you to follow up with a hatchet move that is immediately going to dig right into their blistery head and pop it like a Zit, that's kinda gross. Or you could just blow their heads smooth off with Requiem. Lickers, sneak behind them and one-shot them with your hatchet, blow them up, riddle them with bullets, or cut their tongues out of their heads with a well-timed parry. Yes, you can do that. It's even an achievement you can unlock for doing so. There are even newer enemy types that aren't zombies. These are elite soldiers all looking like umbrella mercenaries armed with submachine guns and shields and hatchets all out to kill Leon. Even then, Leon does not feel overwhelmed. You use your environment to create smoke, blocking their sight on you. You can even shoot containers holding liquors to allow the liquor to be a distraction for them to focus their fire while you move in from behind, sneaking around and just full on emptying your clips into their armor or just shooting them in the head. It is by far the most John Wick-like level in the entire game. It felt like the scene straight out of John Wick 3 whenever he's battling against the High Table in the Continental. Leon has just reached peak awesomeness and more in this game. Overall, this game blends both formulas of survival horror and action horror to perfection. Even when the gameplay started to feel like it was dragging in certain areas, it immediately picks right back up. Each level had something amazing to offer. Rhodes Hill did a great job at really setting the mood for the classic Resident Evil or Resident Evil 7 style horror we all know and love as Grace. The basement level was so nerve-wracking with the girl lurking around every corner. Raccoon City was a fever dream of a level, going back as Leon encountering giant spiders, giant plant monsters, running into lickers all over again with both Leon and Grace. With all of that being said, I think that Requiem has the perfect gameplay for all fans of the series. Now, after all of the gameplay yapping, let's go into the story. In Resident Evil Requiem, we finally get our answers to everything that went down since the very beginning. From the ashes of Raccoon City, we learn of a super duper secret facility hidden underneath the Raccoon City orphanage known as ARC. ARC is the facility that was trafficking bioweapons and was also holding Elpis, the mysterious virus that we have seen over and over during Requiem's marketing. The thing that kept this facility so secret is that Raccoon City was an inside job this entire time. The government never issued a missile strike on Raccoon City, but instead a secret organization known as the Connections. In Grace's report, after completing the game, you can also see a photo of Mia Winters surrounded by scientists with Evelyn. The Connections, of course, was the company trying to weaponize the mold as well. Overall, the Connections is a criminal underground in control of the government. This is what the president during Resident Evil 6 was investigating before he was infected and then killed by Leon, to which Leon naturally was framed for straight up assassinating the president. The Connections was also the company that Wesker was secretly working for, as well as Nikolai in Resident Evil 3. All of this to cover up ARC that was holding Elpis. Elpis being the Greek translation for the goddess of hope, who remained in Pandora's box in Greek mythology. And that is the main theme of this game that many characters share: hope. Oswald E. Spencer has always been known as the evil mastermind responsible for unleashing a virus into our world, causing infection and death to many innocent lives. During an interview with Alyssa Ashcroft, we learned that he has been ultimately plagued by guilt for what he has done. In that interview, they speak about Elpis, which Spencer calls it a blind hope, that humans cannot predict when death will come for them. This is why they have hope, to which he then says he was wrong. He then signals for someone to come into the room, a man bringing a young Grace into Spencer's arms, not a test subject, but a child needing a home that he took in. Spencer then calls her his hope, and after discussing everything, Spencer only hopes it serves as a requiem for those who have passed. Elpis has always been a part of Grace's destiny since the beginning, her entire life not knowing truly where she comes from, being moved around from one location to another, to then witnessing her mother being murdered, not understanding why she is being hunted down at all times, never understanding the destiny that has chose her. After she began her investigation, when taken to Rhodes Hill, she would learn more and more about her purpose and why destiny keeps steering her in the direction she's going. But one thing that is constantly on her mind is the tragedy that surrounds her, the horrifying death of her mother, taking responsibility of Emily, who later gets hurt and mutates into this abomination, only to believe Leon had no choice but to put her down, finding out the fates of so many test subjects supposed to be cloned after her when Victor Gideon was just simply misled. He found her name in Spencer's files, thinking that she was connected to everything when there was nothing truly special about Grace to begin with. After all of this tragedy, she is left with the determination of having no more regrets. She has a heart-to-heart with Leon, explaining to him that she wants to see this through. The hope to make a difference, which Leon shares greatly with her. He explains he was never able to make a difference during the events of Raccoon City, all of those years ago, and that is why he is there now. Even when being faced with the familiar wasteland of zombies, going back down memory lane, remembering Lieutenant Brenna, remembering Kendo and his daughter, everything that constantly haunts him decades later, he is now facing it with pure determination. You can truly feel that with all of his aggression he has for each enemy. Hell, Mr. X returns, and during the fights, each time you get a parry, you can hear the primal, visceral rage Leon has during that fight. Leon even runs into Hunk, Mr. Death himself, and manages to defeat him one-on-one. Also, I know about the diversity on whether or not people believe that truly is Hunk, and I'm telling you, that's him. It is literally the exact same voice actor from Resident Evil 2 Remake, and you can see the Raccoon City Syndrome on his hand after you kill him. But you know the funny thing? He's not dead. If you backtrack, you will notice his body is missing. Even on Insanity mode, after defeating him, 2 more elite guards will spawn in. Once you kill those guards, if you leave that room, come back to that room, those guards' bodies will still be there, but Hunk, his body is missing. Leon is just not the same rookie he once was, obviously. He is not running or using a rocket launcher to face Mr. X, instead he is physically taking him head on. Overall, every last one of these characters, Leon, Grace, and even Spencer, all share hope in one way or another. Whether it is make amends, make a change, make a difference, at the end of it all, it is all still just hope. Overall, this story took our beloved legacy characters, introduced new characters, and they were all phenomenal. I do gotta say, I feel Zeno was a little wasted. I wanted to see a really cool boss fight with him, but we did not get that. However, when I first saw him, I did think that he was Albert Wesker, mainly from his appearance, but also the fact that his voice is literally the exact same voice as Wesker from Resident Evil 4. And one thing that Zeno helps Grace learn is about the cloning of her, or at least he thought that there was cloning of her. So, with cloning being a theme in this game, it is obviously very safe to say that Zeno is a clone of Albert Wesker himself. A lot of the moments with him is likely a huge tease to the Code Veronica, Resident Evil 0, or even Resident Evil 5 remakes in the future, where Wesker is present. Victor Gideon was also a great antagonist. I loved how cold and calculated he was from the jump. I knew he was going to be a problem when he was just casually infecting everyone while carrying Grace. I also loved his mad scientist moments when he would have a great revelation of his life's work. Oh, and the motorcycle sequence in pursuit of him was incredible. Immediate Vendetta vibes, only thing is we get to play that now. Now the final boss with Victor was pretty cool for the first phase. I enjoyed the sort of Doc Ock vibe he had going on. He even has a moment where he pulls out a rocket launcher during that phase, and I've seen players outright parry the rockets. But when we get to phase 2, where he mutated into a nemesis, I gotta say at first I wasn't really excited, mainly because I just really do not like that boss in Resident Evil 3 Remake. And on top of that, I don't really mess with Resident Evil 3 Remake that much either, but that's not really a hot take. But I guess I can say the boss was done a little better this time around, I guess. Either way, Victor Gideon was a great antagonist. I had higher hopes for Zeno, like I said, but again, I think it's all playful tease to future Wesker content. One last thing I want to do is give props to the award-worthy performance for Angela Santalbano. She gave an Oscar-worthy performance. It literally sounded like everything was happening to Grace as they were recording for the game. And then I have to give props to my boy Nick. Now I always would talk about how the OG RE4 voice is what Leon would always sound like in my head, but from every performance Nick has given up to now, I think it is safe to say that Nick is our Leon. He has done an outstanding job. I'm not ashamed to admit that this game made me very emotional. As soon as Leon read the note about his pizza party being set up by Marvin and the other officers, very excited to welcome Leon into the police force. And then Leon says,
Lieutenant Brenna, Kennedy, reporting for duty.
My already high emotions couldn't take it anymore, and straight up, I started to cry. Truly a beautiful full circle moment with Leon. The entire cast did an incredible job. Even though I knew I recognized Sherry's voice from the trailers, it was still a great treat nevertheless hearing dialogue between an older Leon and a grown Sherry. Even after everything I've said, I still feel I can go on for more hours just giving nothing but the utmost praise for this game. This game reached all of my expectations and more, and I cannot wait for everything Capcom has in store for the future. This game was an absolute love letter to us, the fans, and like I've already said, I cannot be more excited for all of the Resident Evil content we will be getting in the future. Speaking of content, I guess that's one fair thing I can say is that there should be a touch more content in this game. Maybe a mercenaries mode? A mercenaries mode would do great with Leon, I believe. Whether you put him in the Roadhill Center, make him fight all the enemies in there, put him in Raccoon City, wherever you gotta put him, just give us Leon with his best action gameplay, waves upon waves upon waves of enemies. Let us play as Hunk too in that mercenaries mode, because like I said, that's Hunk. Any arguments to that fact is just wrong. Anyways, to put an end to all of my yapping, I love this game. I hope you enjoy this game. I can't wait for more future Resident Evil content. Upon this video's release, I will also be uploading the first part of my gameplay to Resident Evil Requiem. It's a little bit late, but I just wanted to give a little bit of time for all the other players to fully play the game. That way they can potentially find my review and also stay tuned for my gameplay. I would really appreciate if you would stop by, give those videos a watch. I know they'll be a little bit lengthy, but it would still mean a lot for anybody that gives those videos the time of day. I'll be uploading each part of the game until completion, and have plenty more video ideas in store for the future. As always, this has been WestPTV. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.